Well, hello again. We'll start this video out with a normal snafu. And let me tell you what happened. I had a leak down here when I started to bleed the line. Let me zoom in. Let me zoom in. I had a leak down there at one of the fittings, so I started to tighten it up. And when I tightened it up, this is what happened to our little brass T. I don't know if you can see that or not. Let me get the old wrench down there. Maybe that'll help a little bit. What happened was the old, see, it's loose. It broke loose. The glue is loose. Well, that idea went down the toilet. So, what do? Well, I'll tell you what we do. Remember, I think it was 2 videos ago, I said if this does not work, there was a plan B. Let me show you what plan B was. You always have to have a plan B. Always. Standing in the wings was the understudy for the original T. And this is it. See there? Fastened in by machine. Well, before changing it out, the first thing we have to do is reseal our master cylinder with a nice fresh piece of, saran wrap. Okay, she's good to go. And now we'll go down there and see if we can't get that T off of there without damaging the lines. That ought to be a lot of fun, huh? Well, that's what we have now, and I propped it away from the firewall by putting a nut and a lock washer behind the bracket, and that brought it away. I didn't really want to bend that tab straight up. It would have accomplished nothing. But so far, I'm doing a new bleed. I don't see any leaks, but we'll give it a little more time. And now it's time for the bubble balancing. We've got our grandson over here, Air Force Staff Sergeant. And he's never seen a bubble balancer, never heard of one. And I'm teaching him how to use it. It's one of those little Harbor Freight bubble balancers. I picked up it. This is my, I don't want Walmart to touch my tire thing. And we've got 1/4 ounce weights, and I bought a pack of 1/2 ounce weights. Right now he's going to try to figure out
all of these. Still hasn't moved it that much.
Well, I don't know. We're going to keep farting around, spinning around. See, it takes a little. You put the whole pack on there.
Easier.
Anyway, this is fun stuff here. These are your 1/2 ounce weights. These are your 1/4 ounce. They're really cheap. Picked them both up at Harbor Freight. The same time I got the balancing machine. And I think my reasoning at the time was I may only have to use like 1 or 2 of these, probably 1 in some cases. And what would I do then? I can't really cut these in half. I guess I could, but I decided to just pick up some 1/2 ounce, 1/4 ounce, and if I needed like 4 of these, I'll just put 2 of these on it. I mean, it's easier to handle the large ones than it is the small ones anyway. Now this is our second tire, and as you can see, that baby is almost perfect. I can't get over it. I have had tires that are perfectly balanced and never had to put a single weight on them. This may be one of them. I don't know. We're going to spin it around. Bring it to a halt. Let it settle down. I'll tell you, we're looking at the dot now. Well, I'll tell you what, that is almost perfect. We'll try a 1/4 ounce and see what happens. Well, there you go. 1/4 ounce is all it took. And put it smack dab in the center. So we'll just go ahead and stick that baby. Back up here a little bit. We'll just take that baby off. Now I'm going to have to mark the tire because we got to go around the other side. I want to put it on the inside. Let me show you how I do that. Alright, this auto pen comes in real handy for this sort of thing. Because you want to make sure you're as close as you can to the other side of the tire. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and come across here with this little auto pen and just kind of mark it down this area right here. Just like that. As close as we can get it. Yep, it's going to be just about right there. Anyway, we tried balancing the tire, by the way. The whole idea in the beginning was to balance the tire upside down, and that way we wouldn't have to go through all this, but it doesn't work. Won't work that way, not on this balancer for some reason. Alright, the weight is in place. Go ahead and tap it. Barely tap it. That's all you got to do. And then they say on these stick-on weights, go easy on them for the first, go easy on your car for the first 48 to 72 hours. Don't get out there and start doing wheelies and all this other crap, because those weights will come off. Remember, they're made in China. So anyway, just a little word of caution there on those. So now we put it back on the wheel balancer and see if that solves it. By the way, before you even use a wheel balancer like this, make sure that you balance it on the floor that you're using it on. Now, just because it's balanced here doesn't mean it's going to be balanced on the other side of the garage. You have to balance it, the balancer itself, by using these 3 screws right here. 1, 2, 3. You adjust them, you don't take them out. You just adjust them until you get that little tiny dot in the center of that bubble. And there, right smack in the middle. Once it's done, then you can go ahead and take your tires and put on them. I love this little thing, I can sit here and do it. They want $10 a tire downtown to balance these things. And we're sitting here doing it for pennies. But there's still one more thing. Keep in mind that this bubble balancer is not as accurate as the new digital balancers. But I didn't want to spend $3,000 for a new balancer that's digital with a nice digital display and everything to balance tires twice. Forget that. James says it's perfect, and it is perfect. Man alive, look at that. That little old 1/4 ounce, put that baby smack in the middle. Fantastic. Nothing to it. I think I only paid, I don't know what I paid for, but it was like $70, $80 or something like that. Fantastic. I can balance a lot of tires on that thing and then eventually give it to James or whomever might want it. You want that balancer?
Free stuff.
You can't have it. And no, that's not the right answer. Sorry. Thanks for playing. One last thing on putting those weights on. Make sure you clean the area with some Windex or something, some kind of cleaner, before you stick the weights on. Make sure it's clean. If it's rusty and gooky and crappy, try to sand it down a little bit. Get it as smooth and shiny as you can. Otherwise, those weights are just going to fly off on you. Just do the best you can, and these wheels having been just cleaned and de-rusted and everything, they still needed to be cleaned off. They had some dust and crap on them, okay? For all you 66 T-Bird owners, and probably 64 and 65, after we got the wheels back on, go ahead and spin it. Let me show you what happened. Hear that noise? That is not the brake pads making that noise. We found out what the problem is by fixing it on the other side. We're going to have to remove this wheel again, and we're going to fix it here too. Here's what was causing that noise. This brake line right here is sticking out too far that way. So he's going to take this rubber mallet we got. He's going to tap that baby back into where, see, it sticks out past this caliper. See it? So if you guys ever buy these calipers from Mack Thunderbird, they're all made in the same place, probably China again, but these lines need to be tapped in this way to clear that rim. So he's going to go ahead and tap them in, and then we'll put the wheel back on. And then first, before he does that, we're going to double check this fitting, make sure it stayed tight. And I'm not talking about a slamming action. He's just going to tap, tap, tap until it no longer sticks out past the caliper. That's what's been rubbing on the inside of the rim.
That did loosen up.
Yeah, I know it. Now, as you can see, where his hand is, it's no longer sticks out past there. Moving hand, see, nice and clear. And he has double checked the tightness of it. It's good to go?
Yep.
Okay. Now we'll go ahead and put the wheel back on, see if we still have that same noise. Alright, go ahead and spin her. Totally quiet. The only thing you're hearing is the brake pads. Okay, what's left to do? Put the battery in. Got the oil in the engine. Got to put water in the radiator. And put gas in the tank, which I have. I bought 4.5 gallons the other day to do that. And I think that's about it. I'm going to have to re-bleed the brakes tomorrow. I'm too tired to do it today. I'll start all over again, but that thing looks really nice down there. Some of you might say, well, why didn't you just put that one in to begin with? Well, because they didn't want to, okay? End of story. No more discussion. That's just the way it was. All right. Let me see. I think that's about it for today. We'll check with you tomorrow. I've got the right rear bleed valve open on the car, which would be the front reservoir, and we're going to see how long it takes. It could take a long time. So I've got it, I've got the bleed valve hooked to a clear plastic tube, and the clear plastic tube running into a water bottle that's been cleaned. You want the water bottle cleaned and dry, no water in it. I blew it out with my air compressor until all the water was gone. So while that's doing that, I guess probably in the next hour, I'm hoping that it'll go down a little bit further. Anyway, while that action is going on, let's look at something else. I've still got to get these things hooked up. I haven't done it. I got tied up doing other things. These have to go, in the back of the trunk over there. And right now I'm getting ready to vacuum it up. I haven't even had time really to vacuum it up. I'm going to do that on both sides and get it squared away, and then I'm going to try to empty this trunk out as best I can. I'll be crawling around in it in the not too distant future, probably before the next video. Not in this video, but before the next one. I'll be crawling around in here, and I don't want to be stomping on things and that sort of thing. So let me vacuum it up, get it squared away best I can. We're about halfway done and getting this thing cleaned up. Let's go check on our master cylinder and see what's going on there. Well, it looks like nothing's going on. It's just sitting here at the same level. I'm not sure how long this is supposed to take. This was Brendan's idea to do this gravity feed. I'm not sure I have the patience for something like this. I have patience for a lot of things, but I don't want to be held up because of that fluid level right there. That doesn't make much sense. But anyway, I did check on all the fittings down in here, and the master cylinder, and down underneath the fender. We have no leaks as of yet. All done, looking about 90% better, but it's not as clean as it was when I first painted it, so we'll go ahead and give it another good scrub before we finish the car, and maybe lay on a little bit more paint. I still have more paint I can spray on there. It's a little thin in spots, but a lot better than it was. I think there's a couple of micro holes down in there. I was under there with a flashlight one day, or a drop light, and I came up here to get something out of the trunk, and I said, is that a pinhole there? The light was coming through, so I'll have to do that to find those holes and patch those. But these little babies up in there that I have to fasten those black tubes to, they're going to have to be, I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. I'm sure up inside they're rusty also, so I don't know. Wire brush the heck out of it and just do my best and spray that Permatex rust treatment on it and let her rip. I mean, what else can I do, Some of it will have to be gotten from the inside the car when I remove the back seat, and which is no problem at all. I'll have a little more room. I think I might be able to get the opposite side of it anyway. But anyway, we did make some progress. Remember those rings that I took off there that held the rubber boots in? They're all cleaned up now. They're pitted, but they're all primed. They're all rust-free, primed and painted, so they look pretty good. They'll look kind of fancy on there, I think, once they're placed back on. I think what I'm going to do right now is have a cup of coffee in the house, take a break, and probably send Brendan an email about this gravity feeding brake bleeding deal, and find out whether or not I have to wait long enough to draw a second Social Security before it's going to be completely bled. I'll let you know what he said when I come back out. After a couple of emails with Brendan, he thought it might be the proportioning valve. Maybe I didn't have it open or open up far enough, so it's open up all the way now, and we're still not getting any fluid movement out of the reservoir. And it's been over 3 hours, and I'm sick of it. I've hooked up my little Harbor Freight pump, that little hand pump deal with the little cup, and I've got it connected to the rear wheel, the right rear, and we're going to pump this stuff through. At least, I don't know, it could be a bad proportioning valve, I don't know. Alright, as you can see, that little pump is pulling it through. Time to refill. Well, that's the third refill, and I'll tell you what, this is no fun pumping that thing. It doesn't have a whole lot of suction power. It's just taking a couple of drops at a time, I think, out of the reservoir. My poor old hand's about wore out, but we are making progress. It is evaluation time. I'm one of these guys that always use the brake pedal to pump. and bleed my brakes. Never had a problem with it. But, you know, I was willing to try the gravity feed. Don't know what the problem is. Didn't work for me. As far as I'm concerned, it's a big 0. So I pulled out the old pump from Harbor Freight. Another big 0. It pulled fluid through, but it would never fully pump up the gauge to between 10 and 15. It just would lay around down this area. If I got it up to 10, it would just come on down as the fluid moved. But the only thing that came out with the fluid was air, and I'm tired. My hand's worn out. Not going to use this anymore. Piece of junk. We're going back to the pump, the brake pedal. It's the way I know best. You should always use the way you know best, no matter what it is. If it works for you, stay with it. Well, since the brakes were a total bust, I decided to go ahead and put gas in this baby. And put the battery in. Throw a little gas down the carburetor and turn the key. And of course it did not start. Of course not. What do you mean? You really expected this thing to start? What planet are you guys from? Oh man, you know, I fully expected it not to start, and it didn't let me down. So now I got to find out what the problem is. I took the distributor cap off, and I thought I could find my remote start switch. Of course, this whole day has been a bad day for me. Can't find my remote start switch. I have no idea what I did with it. When I started moving things around this garage, from the house to here, and then back to the house again, and it was a mess. So anyway, I'm calling it a day, guys. Sorry about that. I really expected to maybe get some noise out of this engine, fire it up. Would have been fun, you know. But we're back to the brakes next time, and back to the engine next time. So until then, this is John.